about resultant vectors, there are two ways differently that are involved. You have the resultant as well as the vectors. So what vectors means here is that, assuming I say do some calculation on dollar, right? USA dollars, so maybe, and then euros. So maybe let's suppose this is a symbol of euros as well as the symbol of what dollars. So when we are adding them, you add them separately, right? So dollar on one side and the euro also on one side. So that's the side you add. So the only thing that matters here, you should understand how the vectors look like, right? So the vectors here look like something. So here I have a picture of the vector. So this is what we call a vector, right? So this is what a vector, one form of what a vector. So assuming this M, I say M is a vector. So when I say M is a dollar, you know exactly what I mean by that. So when I say M is a vector, you must know what exactly is called what a vector. So this is how the vector look like. This is one form. So a vector has two people within, right? So let's say this is the first person or this is the second person. So here the vector M is 2 and 2 4, right? So 2 4, and then you also have a vector N to be what 3 negative 1, right? So this is one form of what a vector. You just must know how it looks like. Or maybe this is another form, right? You have two ways of writing the vector. So this can be what 2I plus 4j here, right? So the same thing here, we are having 2, 4. This can be a component form, and the one can be in the vector form, right? So don't worry about that thing. All that matter, you must know how it looks like, right? So this is one form of a vector. This is also another form of a vector. So assuming this is what the I here is a boy, right? So assuming this is a boy, and then this is what the girl, a girl here, right? You have a girl here. Is that okay? So maybe a boy and a girl. So that is assuming, just by an assumption. So this is how a vector must look like, right? Okay, so this one also goes to what 3 negative 1, right? So this one vector can be converted to what let's say 3, so negative 1j, right? So the boy here and what and the girl here. Now that we know how the vector looks like, let's see how to add them and subtract them, right? So once you know that this is a dollar or an euro, you must know how to add and subtract them. So assuming you want to combine these two vectors here, so you want to combine. So first of all, let's deal with this one. So you want to combine this and this by what addition, right? So all that matters is that since there are two different things, so a boy, assuming this is a boy and a girl, so you have to make sure that you are adding them separately, right? So that is one thing. So we want to combine 2 4 as well as 3 negative 1 here. So make sure that a boy to a boy, right? So a boy, just like a dollar to a dollar or an euro to an euro. So a girl to another girl. So you're having 2 plus 3 because it's being combined by our addition sign. So 2 plus 3 here, that gives me 5, and then 4 plus 1 negative 1, right? So that should be 3, right? So what about the other forms of a vector here? So the other form of a vector, you have 2I plus j. So this thing can change, right? So by assumption, this is what, let's say this is the boy, right? And then this is what the girl, right? But of course this is just what the direction. So you are moving the I direction, the j direction. Forget about that thing for now. Just for understanding purpose, let's move it to a boy and a girl, right? Is that okay? So this is what we call a boy and a girl, what one vector here. Is that okay? It may go beyond that, right? Just for understanding people, let's limit our understanding to this assumption here. And then the second one is what 3 negative 1j, right? This negative 1j can just be what negative j. Okay, remember I to I, meaning a boy to a boy, and then what a girl to a girl, right? So here the same thing, you are going to get this is what a boy here. I have another boy here, so this is what 2 4 here, right? So this shouldn't be 4, right? Here there's a mistake here, so check that. That should be what 2I plus what 4j here, right? 4j. So this is 3I, and then what minus that is it. So this guy to that guy, right? So this guy to that guy here, so a boy to a boy, that should be what 2 plus 3, that should be 5I, right? And then here too we have 4j and then negative 1j here. So a girl to a girl here, that should be 4 minus 1, that should give you 3 here. So the answer to that should be what 5I plus 3j, right? So remember that what we are dealing, so let's say this is a dollar to a dollar, so after adding the 2 you still get a dollar, right? So that is why we have a vector in the I and j. After adding them, you must get another vector in the form of I and j. Okay, Now here's a very nice question here that says I should find this vector. So this is another form of vector that says B to, we are moving, assuming we are moving from this place to A, right? So you are moving from maybe a town B to town A, maybe moving from your house to wherever you are going. That can be a chapel or a school or anything, right? So how do you solve this type of question? So from the question, you are giving A as well as B. They say you should find this. What this thing means is that you are moving from B to A, right? You are moving from B to A, right? So the O here helps us to make it in a vector form, right? Just for understanding, but this is what in a vector. So remember that we are moving from one point here to another. So we are moving from A to B, and then you are giving A as well as you are also giving the B. Is that okay? So maybe let's say we are having five. Let's say this is $5 as well as another $2 here, right? So another $2, and I say you should find the difference between the two. That should be $3 there. This is just a simple, right? So the final minus the initial. So where you are getting to, maybe let's say you start at 0 and then you move to maybe 5 kilometers, right? So the difference between the two will be 5 kilometers. So this is the final. So the final here subtracted from the initial, right? So the final here subtracted from the starting point. So this is the final. So you have OA minus OB. Is that okay? And then from the question, you are giving these two guys. So you are giving A to be minus 5, right? And then you are giving the B to be minus -2. Is that okay? So you subtract these two. If you do that thing perfectly, that should give you something in the form of 0, 0, 3. Okay, now what about the resultant? So let's talk about the resultant. And now that you've understood how the vectors looks like, what about the resultant? So there are two words that are involved here, right? So the starting says I should find the resultant vector. So now that we are okay with the resultant, let's talk about what now that we are okay with the vector, so let's talk about the resultant. So the resultant here means that you can see the results of something. The results of something means that in this particular community, which is the vector community, when I say the resultant, means that you should add them, right? You should add whatever is being involved, whether they are two or more, you should add them. So here from the question, look at this question carefully. Okay, from the question, you have been given that you should find the unit vector. So we are not going to talk about unit vector, that is a whole lesson on its own, but to the direction or to the opposite direction of the resultant vector. So you must know the resultant. So as I said earlier, the resultant of two vectors are the adjacents of whoever is being involved. So this is the first person, this is the second person. So the adjacents of the two give us the results. That is what the resultant vector. So we are giving the F1, so that is the first person to be -2i and then -3j, and then the second guy to be 5i minus j here. So what matters here, this guy to that guy, right? Remember I said earlier on that the girl to the girl and then the boy to the boy, right? So this is two things how you add it. So -2 here and then plus 5, right? Plus 5, that should be 3, right? So that is how I got 3i here. Okay, and then -3, and then here should be minus, right? So -3 minus 1, that should be -4. So -4j. So this is what we call the resultant vector. That stands for the capital R, right? So this is how simple you find. If the three guys are involved, just add them, right? So here you are having three different people here. So this is what the first person, this is the second person, this is what the third guy here, right? So they say find the resultant. The resultant is that you should add all of them together to get the result. That is just a simple by understanding purpose, right? Resultant means we should add everything and get the result out of that. Okay, so this is how simple you find what the resultant of vector in mathematics, of course in high school math. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content like this.